Greetings, my fellow gun nerds. I am James, and I just got off shift a little while ago. Taking a break from the airsoft stuff, getting back more into the firearms and kind of the professional side of things, which is technically where I got my start. So if anyone that doesn't know, I was in the Army for about 12 years. 8 of that was National Guard. Everything else was active duty. A small trip to Iraq, a big trip to Iraq, and then a big trip to Gitmo as a military police platoon sergeant for the External Security Force at the Joint Detention Group, Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. Yeah. Was also a DoD police officer. It's not that big of a deal. It's like a civilian base cop. It's not that very little actual tactical response things. So there's that. And I've been doing on and off security jobs, full-time, part-time, on-call, whatever, uniform, plain clothes, whatever, since 2007. That was actually the first job I had when I got out of active duty in 2007. I've done basic uniform stuff. I've done critical infrastructure uniform stuff. I've done plain clothes details, like event plain clothes details. I've done RST. I have not done executive protection, so I will throw that out there right now. A buddy of mine told me once you do RST and then you do EP, all the EP guys want to go back to RST, and now I understand that because I absolutely love doing RST. It's basically you're not patrolling necessarily. You're protecting like the vacation homes of millionaires, and that's kind of nice. But I've been doing plainclothes security for about a year or so now, various stuff, mostly in the Northern California in the area to include the Bay Area. I'm going to quickly just kind of go over what I carry personally, like the EDC, right? The everyday carry kind of whatever, you know, if I'm going on a road trip or if I'm going downtown or, you know, something like that. I'll also go over basically the maximum amount of stuff that I've worn for doing plainclothes security, which, as you will see in a moment, will range, depending on the contract needs and what the client wants. It has ranged anywhere from just me in a suit, in a black suit with a white shirt, literally described as a limo driver with a gun. So black shirt, white suit, white shirt, black suit, one gun and holster, that's it. All the way to plain clothes, business casual, smart casual, whatever. For the most I've carried is what you're going to see in a second, which is gun, cuffs, spare mag, and flashlight. And that was per the contract, as in you had to have that stuff on you. And obviously like handcuff key, your permits, your CCW, blah, 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 whatever. Personal carry setup. I've got 2 guns on my permit. So in California, you can have up to 3 guns. Or at least for Sac County. I don't think any of the other counties let you do any more than 3. So, and you have to list them by the serial number. So one of them is my Beretta M9, which I absolutely love. It's my favorite gun in the whole world. And then my 23, my standard Glock 23. I don't usually carry my M9 that much because it's a little bit bigger. But it is on my permit just in case something happens to my Glock, or if it breaks, or if I get into an altercation and I have to surrender this as evidence. It's always good to have at least 2 guns on your permit. Personal carry, I always carry inside the waistband. If it's just me going somewhere, if I'm not coming off of work or whatever, I always use TT gun leather holsters. I've got a bunch of stuff through him. I have a cuff case, an IWB cuff case. I'll go over that in a second. I've got a single mag holder in case I need to be a little more covert for work. I have another holster for that, and this fits in the, I have a USP Compact 40 holster because I have an HK Compact 40, and this fits in it, so that's cool. But normally, it's just me and my little Glocky. Now, I've also done security jobs where it's just Glock, holster, that's it. So I'll kind of go into what I wear for security jobs in a second, but I only carry, I'll set this off to the side. What I personally carry, personal. I'm going to dinner, I'm going out somewhere with a family, I'm taking a road trip, so on and so forth. I am only carrying a Glock in my leather holster. Maybe if it's a road trip or something like that, maybe I'll carry an extra magazine, but if I need more than 1 magazine from 1 pistol, I need one of 2 things. I either need a rifle or I need to get the fuck out of there. So now we'll go over the maximum amount of gear I have carried for plainclothes security. This is the most I've ever carried for a plainclothes detail. Starting off, I have my Glock 23 standard, no upgrades or anything. I have Hornady Critical. I think these are either the defense or the duties. I don't know the difference. And 10-round California magazines. Some contracts will, hand to God, some contracts will specifically say, unless you are a active full-time peace officer, you must contractually carry 10 rounds. I think it's just a liability thing. I have standard capacity mags also, because Freedom Week. I have a grip extender on here. In the off chance I ever have to do like some sort of offhand reload transition, whatever, or fix a one-handed malfunction kind of a thing. But again, some contracts will say, unless you're a current active duty peace officer, you have to have 10-round California magazines. Even if you're retired, even if you're reserve, they don't care. Active or nothing. That's some contracts. Not all of them, but some will. Holster, I'm rocking a Kydex. This is a Bravo concealment holster. I just started using this about the beginning of the year. For plainclothes work, I like this one because it's a lot more comfortable than my personal, because it's outside, so I'm fat, and there's a lot more cushioning. So if you're doing like RST or you're sitting in a vehicle and you're fat, sometimes your fatness will get kind of caught in here, and that gets sort of rough. So you'll notice I put some black fabric. I think this is just black moleskin, but that's like black fabric tape around the top of it, just so my fat has a fat cushion because I'm fat. ASP handcuffs, you're never going to get me to go away from ASP. I've had them in various carriers, cheap and good ones, over the years, so I just sort of tape these together because sometimes they'll make a little bit of noise, again, depending on what carrier you're using. I have an ASP handcuff key on a little retractable deal. Really, so I'll also wear this if I'm wearing a duty setup. I'll wear this guy. Also, this makes it so it's harder for me to lose this little black key. Let me get that in there. This little black key, because it's on a little thingy here. I didn't know this, some of the ASP cuffs, these are not one of them, some of the newer models will not take the standard ASP keys, because I have a bunch from when I was a cop. So I had to get the older models so they fit all of the ASP keys and some of the generic ones. So that was cool. Handcuff case, I have a TT gun leather single cuff case. I've been rocking this starting this year. It's very comfortable. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but this is a IWB, so this is inside the waist. Bravo concealment Kydex holder with the one standard California magazine, 10-round magazine that is, not standard to imply, standard has more. I like OWB holster and mag setups. They're very comfortable for me. Again, fat, and if you're sitting in a car, you really want some seriously comfortable stuff. I have my TT gun leather with my Surefire. I think this is 1,000 or an 1,100 lumen limit with a cool little tail cap on it. This stays on my belt. Again, this is another OWB light. On my person, if I'm working nights, I will also have just like a 10,000 or 20,000 lumen, like a big jumbo, not a big jumbo, but a fairly decent sized flashlight with like 10 to 20,000 lumens, just to really brighten someone's day. All of that, again, is carried on a Hank's gun belt. These boys are super thickies. Now, the one thing I will say, if you're wearing all this stuff, you're going to want to get a bigger belt than you normally wear. So I think this is let me flip that around, see if you can read that. So this is a 40-inch belt. I usually wear anywhere between a 36 to a 38 pant, kind of depending how it's sized. But if I'm working and wearing all this stuff, I got a 40-inch belt because all this stuff is going to push my pants out a little bit more, especially if I'm wearing some IWB stuff. It's going to kick it out a little bit. So I gave myself a couple extra inches of room so I'm not just sort of like struggling on the last little notch here. Because I've done that. I've worn like my normal gun belt, but like gun trouser belt with all this stuff. And I was on like the last dot. And I felt like a fat bastard. That is it. Nothing fancy, nothing like crazy high speed, nothing anyone's going to get a million views on for. Just simple tools. Just a hammer's a hammer, a drill's a drill, a pistol and a holster is a pistol and a holster. It's really just whatever the contract/client wants or whatever's in company policy. Because anyone that works security, even if it's plainclothes, you're still someone's bitch.